Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness.
January 20th, 1982. Ozzy Osbourne just bit the head off a live bat on stage. The crowd lost their minds. The bat lost its head. And Ozzy? He was about to enter the wildest decades of his life, where the bat bite would somehow not be the craziest thing he did. After the bat incident, Ozzy had to get rabies shots in his ARSE every night of the tour. Here's what Ozzy had to say about it. Every night for the rest of the tour, I had to find a doctor and get more rabies shots, one in each ARSE cheek, one in each thigh, one in each arm. Everyone hurt like a bastard. I had more holes in me than a lump of fucking Swiss cheese. But it was better than getting rabies, I suppose. Not that anyone would have noticed the difference if I'd gone insane. Once in San Antonio, Texas, as usual, Ozzy had a few drinks in the hotel. Per usual, Sharon stole his clothes to prevent him from leaving, but she made the mistake of leaving one of her gowns in the room. It was this dark green frilly thing, and with a bit of ripping and tearing at the seams. Of course, Ozzy put it on, then found some running shoes and was off. So Ozzy is walking around San Antonio wearing his wife's gown, blasted. He gets the urge to relieve himself. He had to go right there, right then. He was in the middle of this strange town in Texas and had no idea where the nearest restrooms were. He decided to find a quiet corner and take a leak against a crumbly old wall. Then he heard a voice behind him. Here's how Ozzy explained what happened next. From behind him, he heard someone say, "You disgust me." "What?" said Ozzy. He turned around to see this old-timer in a cowboy hat staring at him like he'd just molested his grandmother. "You're a disgrace, did you know that?" "My girlfriend nicked my clothes," Ozzy explained. "What else was I supposed to fucking wear?" The old-timer said, "It ain't the dress, you limey piece of dirt. That wall you're relieving yourself on is the Alamo." "The Aloe what?" replied Ozzy. They charged him with public intoxication, then let him out. When Ozzy finally went back, he said he came upon this scrawny Mexican kid. He asked Ozzy if it was true that he got blasted pissing on the Alamo. Then the Mexican kid said, "Shit, man, we piss on it every night on our way home." Ozzy went on tour and had Motley Crue as an opener. Ozzy took Motley Crue's craziness as a challenge. He had to out-crazy them. Ozzy says he gets asked about different stories all the time, and he has no idea if they are true or not. When asked about if he really snorted a line of ants off a popsicle stick, Ozzy said, "I ain't got a fucking clue. It's certainly possible." One of the craziest times with the crew started at a Japanese steakhouse. While waiting for the food, they drank beer and chasers. Then they brought out a jumbo-sized bottle of sake for the table. The last thing he remembers is getting a large bowl of wonton soup, finishing it, then filling it up to the brim with sake. He downed it in one messy gulp. Ozzy said, "Ah, that's better." Everyone looked at him, and then Tommy from Motley said, "Let's get out of here, man." Any second now, Ozzy's gonna blow. Then, black. Ozzy blacked out. Next thing to happen is him waking up and hearing the noise of a large, loud truck. He woke up on the central reservation of a 12-lane freeway. He managed to get away from the freeway and had to piss. He found a nice spot, and boom, police catch him and off to jail again. One night, Ozzy spent some alone time with a lovely woman in the Sunset Marquis Hotel in West Hollywood. After their time together, he realized something wasn't right. So he called the front desk and asked if they had a doctor on duty. They did. The doc came up to his room, checked him out, and told him he should go and have a HIV test. He went insane with worry. He was impossible to be around. He finally couldn't take it anymore and came to Sharon with everything. You can imagine how that went down. Think of that 100 megaton bomb the Russians once set off in the Arctic. That was Sharon when he told her that he had to get an HIV test because, as Ozzy put it, because he bonked some chick from a hotel bar. He got the test, then took Sharon along to get the results. In his book, I Am Ozzy, he explains what happened when the doctor walked into the room to give him his results. "Well, Mr. Osbourne, the good news is that you don't have herpes, the clap, or syphilis." The second he said that, Ozzy knew something was up. "What's the bad news?" Ozzy asked him. Well, I'm afraid there's no easy way to tell you this, he said, as Ozzy's whole body went numb with fear. But you're HIV positive. As expected, Ozzy didn't react well. If he had HIV, that likely meant Sharon had it too. Back then, if you got HIV, you'd eventually get AIDS, which had no cure then. He couldn't even look at Sharon. He felt terrible. Ozzy says he was still on his knees and screaming at this point when a call from the lab came in. He listened as the doctor ummed and ahed for a while. Then he put down the receiver and told Ozzy, "Actually, Mr. Osbourne, let me clarify. Your test was borderline, not positive." Ozzy let them run the test again. That night, he was a wreck. Finally, he was able to get back in and find out the results again. "So, Mr. Osbourne," began the doc, "we ran another test on you, and I'm delighted to say that you don't seem to have HIV, although we should do the test one more time to be sure." Ozzy put his head in his hands, released all the air from his lungs, and thanked God. "Basically, Mr. Osbourne, your immune system currently isn't functioning at all. At first, the lab couldn't understand it, so they did some more blood work, and then they came across some lifestyle factors that probably explain the anomaly." "Lifestyle factors?" Ozzy asked. "Your blood contains near-fatal quantities of alcohol and cocaine, Mr. Osbourne, not to mention a number of other controlled substances. The lab's never seen anything like it." "So I really don't have HIV?" "No, but your body thinks it does." "Well, that's a relief." "Mr. Osbourne, you might not be HIV positive, but your life is still in grave danger if you don't take it easier." Ozzy nodded, but by then he wasn't even listening. He was too busy planning the drink he needed to celebrate. Mind you, he did change his lifestyle in one way. He never cheated on Sharon again. After Randy died, he had a couple of albums with Jake E. Lee on guitar. Each album did well, but not like the previous two. In 1988, he found a young Zakk Wylde to take lead guitar duties. Zakk was and still is considered one of the best guitarists in rock music. He currently fronts his own band, Black Label Society, when he's not playing in the reformed Pantera. In 1993, the song "I Don't Want to Change the World" won a Grammy for Best Metal Performance. It was the live version off the Live and Loud album that won, but the song was originally off of the No More Tears album. Not a bad song on that album if you ask me. That album is considered one of his best, and it held its own against the hits of the early 90s. Ozzy seems to be one of the few people in the world that can stand the test of time. He should have been dead years ago, or a washed-up rock star dreaming about his glory days. He still manages to find some way to be relevant. What else was left for him to do? Television. Yep, the Prince of Darkness became a television star. In 1997, Ozzy and family allowed cameras into their house. It was for a documentary called Ozzy Osbourne Uncut. It was a hit, and they eventually did an episode of MTV Cribs, which also was a hit. Doesn't take a genius to know that when the TV sharks smell blood in the water, they strike, even if the potential blood they seek comes from the lunatic Ozzy Osbourne. The Osbournes were offered a chance to have their own TV show. Ozzy wasn't thrilled of the idea, but they asked their kids what they thought. 2 of the 3 agreed to do it. Kelly and Jack said yes. Oldest Amy wanted to stay out of the public eye. So, the Osbournes was a go, and became a huge hit. During filming, some pretty major things happened, aside from the daily craziness in the daily life of Ozzy and family. Here's another story from Ozzy's book. Ozzy was having some issues. He had an odd way of walking, having tremors, and his speech was terrible. Watching himself on TV made him realize it more, and he started to worry constantly something was wrong and was about to drop dead. Every other week, it seems he had a new test. They found nothing, so Ozzy finally asked for them to do something. The doc said you could always get a colonoscopy. The doc told him there wasn't anything that made him think Ozzy needed one, but Ozzy said, let's do it anyway. So the time comes for Ozzy to get the procedure done. He's laying there, and they begin to give him some Demerol so he won't feel anything. Here's what Ozzy says what happened next from his book. So he jabs me with a needle, and while I'm waiting to pass out, I notice this massive flat-screen TV to the side of me. Then all of a sudden, I feel something the size of a small house go up my arse. I yelp and close my eyes, and when I open them again, the TV screen is showing a high-definition image of a big red cave. Is that the inside of my arsehole? I ask. Why the hell aren't you asleep? Says the doc. Don't know. Don't you feel groggy? Not really. Not even a little bit? Nope. I'm going to give you some more Demerol then. Whatever it takes, doc. So he gives me another shot of the good stuff. 2 minutes later, the doc says, "How are you feeling?" "Fine, thanks," I say, still glued to Journey to the Center of My Arse on the TV screen. "You're still awake?" "I'm going to give you some more." "Go on then." Another couple of minutes go by. "How about now, Mr. Osbourne? Blink if you can hear me." "Blink? Why can't I just tell you?" "That's impossible. You're not human." "How can I fall asleep during this?" I say. "Any minute now you're going to find some long-lost cufflinks up there, or maybe an old watch, or a pair of Sharon's tights." "I can't have you awake right now. I'm going to give you one last shit." Black. Ozzy freaking Osbourne, man. I tell you, he's definitely one of a kind. After this, Ozzy was convinced Sharon should have the procedure done too. After plenty of nagging from Ozzy, she agreed to get it done. After the procedure, Sharon and the kids went to New York for some filming. That's where she was when they got the results. The lab found cancerous tumors. Ozzy freaked out. The woman he loved more than life itself had cancer. Growing up, Ozzy remembered that anytime someone had cancer, they died, no question. It was a death sentence. Sharon was determined to beat it, and when the crew from MTV offered to cancel the show, Sharon said, "This is reality TV. It doesn't get any more fucking real than this. Keep your cameras rolling." Sharon's operation was on the 3rd of July, 2002. When it was done and the cancer had been removed, the doctors said that she'd make a full recovery. She had some more issues later, but is still cancer-free today. Eventually, MTV had filmed all the crazy stuff they could without repeating the same old stuff. Ozzy was riding his Yamaha Banshee 350cc quad bike around the fields, and the cameras were off. He took off on the quad bike and had a pretty serious accident. He ended up flipping the quad bike, and it came back down on top of him. He broke his neck, fractured 8 of his ribs, punctured lungs, and broke his collarbone, which cut an artery. Kelly was doing some publicity for the cover of Changes she and Ozzy recorded when she got the call. She was clearly upset, and for good reason. After all this, when it came time to renegotiate with MTV for a new contract, they decided enough was enough. Ozzy eventually announced he was done touring. This time, it was real. He has lived one hell of a life. Not one person can say they know what it's like to be Ozzy Osbourne except the man himself. One thing he has always been is appreciative of his fans. He knows he wouldn't be here without us. I don't like to think about it, but I know the day will come when I hear on the news he has passed. I'll do my best to remember all the times his music took me away and made me thankful for this thing called rock and roll. Not many do it as well as Ozzy. He's putting on one final show, Saturday, July 5th at Villa Park, Birmingham. Ozzy Osbourne shouldn't be alive. But against all odds, the man who bit the head off a bat, snorted ants, and survived Sharon's wrath is still standing. And if that's not rock and roll, what is?